The endless sea of stars stretched beyond the viewport as Marcus Chen clutched his worn leather toolkit, watching Galactic Station Alpha 9 grow larger with each passing moment. The transport ship's elegant quantum drives hummed quietly, a sharp contrast to the rattling shuttles he'd worked on back home. "Final approach to Docking Bay 3, announced the ship's AI in measured tones. "Please ensure all personal belongings are secured." Marcus straightened his Earth Engineering Corps uniform, painfully aware of how outdated it looked compared to the shimmering smart fabric worn by his fellow passengers. The zigzagal engineers around him wore garments that shifted colors with their moods, currently displaying various shades of what he interpreted as amusement and disdain. The docking procedure completed with barely a whisper. Marcus stood, keeping his expression neutral as several zigzagal deliberately moved their belongings away from his primitive toolkit. Their crystalline skin caught the light, creating rainbow patterns that danced across the cabin walls. Earth Engineer Marcus Chen called out a stern voice as he stepped onto the station. A tall zigzagal in senior engineering colors stood waiting, their skin pulsing with deep blue patterns. "I am Chief Engineer Vexlor. Your credentials have been processed." The pause spoke volumes. Marcus had graduated top of his class at MIT, but to the zigzagal Earth universities might as well have been teaching Stone Age technology. "Thank you for the opportunity, Chief Engineer," he replied, keeping his voice steady. "You will be assigned to Maintenance Sector 7. Vexlor continued, their tone suggesting they were addressing a cleaning drone rather than a fellow engineer. "The waste recycling systems there are sufficiently basic for your level of expertise." A ripple of crystalline laughter echoed from the gathered engineering staff. Marcus noticed one younger zigzagal, their skin showing traces of curious green patterns, watching him with more interest than mockery. They quickly looked away when Vexlor turned in their direction. "Of course, Chief Engineer," Marcus responded, hefting his toolkit. "I'll begin immediately." The maintenance shaft to Sector 7 was cramped and clearly hadn't seen much traffic from the station's primary engineering teams. Marcus made his way through the narrow passage, his experienced eyes already noting the subtle signs of wear in the junction boxes. As he worked on his first repair job, replacing worn connections in a waste processing unit, his attention was drawn to unusual fluctuations in the power readings. The pattern seemed familiar, reminiscent of the cascade failures he'd helped prevent during the Mars colony crisis. "Unusual approach," came a soft voice, causing Marcus to look up from his work. The young zigzagal he'd noticed earlier stood at the entrance to the maintenance shaft, their skin showing swirls of curious green and analytical blue. "Engineer Talira," they introduced themselves, moving closer to observe his repair work. "I've never seen someone use manual diagnostic tools when quantum sensors are available." Marcus held up his multimeter with a slight smile. "Sometimes the old ways see things the new ways miss. I'm reading power fluctuations that shouldn't be here." "Impossible," Talira responded, but their skin patterns showed interest rather than dismissal. "The quantum grid is self-correcting." "Maybe that's the problem," Marcus suggested, connecting another lead to the power junction. "Look at these readings. The grid isn't just correcting errors, it's compensating for them. And the compensation values are increasing." Talira's skin flashed with surprise as they studied the simple digital display. This requires further investigation. But Chief Engineer Vexlor has prohibited you from accessing primary systems." Marcus nodded, carefully closing the access panel. "Then I'll do what Earth engineers have always done. I'll find another way to fix the problem." He gathered his tools, mind already working on possibilities. Sometimes the best solutions come from the most unexpected places. As he headed to his next repair assignment, Marcus didn't notice Talira lingering behind, their skin now showing patterns of deep thought, as they studied the recently repaired system with new eyes. 3 weeks into his assignment, Marcus sat cross-legged in his small quarters, surrounded by hand-drawn diagrams spread across the floor. The station's lights flickered briefly, the fourth such occurrence that day. He made another mark on his paper grid, adding to the growing pattern of anomalies he'd been tracking. Maintenance alert. Level 3, Section 8. The station's AI announced. Non-critical system failure detected. Marcus grabbed his toolkit and headed out, passing groups of increasingly frustrated Zigzetal engineers in the corridors. Their skin patterns showed agitation, cycling through worried purples and irritated reds as they huddled around quantum displays. Another environmental control failure. Talira fell into step beside him, their skin showing muted colors of concern. Third one this shift. The quantum diagnostics show no correlation, but they're happening more frequently. Marcus finished, showing them his notepad. Look at this. I've mapped every malfunction for the past 3 weeks. The pattern is there, but it's not something a quantum system would recognize. Talira studied the hand-drawn grid with fascination. You tracked all of this manually. Sometimes you need to step back to see the bigger picture, Marcus explained as they reached the malfunctioning system. Digital systems see perfect patterns. Humans see imperfect ones. The environmental control panel was dark, its quantum interface offline. Marcus bypassed it entirely, using manual overrides to access the underlying mechanics. His hands moved with practiced efficiency, connecting his diagnostic tools to the basic power systems. The quantum grid is trying to optimize itself, he muttered, studying the readings. Each correction creates tiny irregularities, which trigger more corrections. It's like watching a domino effect in slow motion. That's not possible, Talira protested, but their skin patterns showed uncertainty. The quantum systems are perfect. They don't make mistakes. Marcus restored power to the environment controls before responding. Perfect systems can still fail perfectly. That's why we keep backup systems on Earth, mechanical ones that can't be affected by quantum cascade failures. Later that day, during the engineering staff meeting, Marcus tried to present his findings. The reaction was predictable. You suggest our quantum grid is failing because it works too well. Vexlor's skin rippled with dismissive patterns. And your evidence is drawings on paper. Laughter echoed through the meeting chamber. Marcus stood his ground, pointing to specific incidents on his charts. The pattern is clear. These failures are accelerating. If we don't address the underlying issue. Enough. Vexlor cut him off. We will not waste time on primitive superstitions. Return to your assigned duties, maintenance engineer. As the meeting dispersed, Marcus noticed several younger Zigzetal engineers studying his charts with hidden interest before quickly looking away. Seeds of doubt had been planted. That evening, Marcus made his way to Cargo Bay 12, an abandoned storage area he'd discovered during his maintenance rounds. His personal maintenance pod sat in the dim light, its panels open to expose the inner workings. I thought I'd find you here. Talira's voice echoed through the bay. They approached, examining the modifications Marcus had made to the pod. You're converting it to mechanical controls. Hybrid system, Marcus corrected, wiping grease from his hands. When the quantum grid fails completely, and it will fail, we'll need vehicles that can operate independently. If you're wrong about this, Talira began. Then I'm just another primitive human who doesn't understand advanced technology. Marcus smiled slightly. But if I'm right, another flicker passed through the station's lights, longer this time. Both engineers looked up, Talira's skin patterns shifting to worried violet. That's the 7th flicker today, Marcus noted, making another mark on his chart. The pattern's accelerating faster than I predicted. He turned to Talira, his expression serious. I could use some help with these modifications, someone who understands quantum systems better than I do. Talira's skin shifted through several patterns before settling on determined green. Show me what you need. Above them, the station's lights flickered again, a silent warning of the crisis to come. The quiet hum of Marcus's magnetic calibrator filled Cargo Bay 12 as he carefully adjusted the field coils in his modified pod. Scattered parts surrounded his workspace, a curious blend of Earth mechanical components and salvaged quantum technology. The power coupling won't hold, Talira observed, their skin showing analytical blue patterns as they studied the interface Marcus had designed. Quantum field generators weren't meant to work with mechanical systems. That's because no one's tried to make them work together, Marcus replied, reaching for a specialized adapter from his toolkit. Everyone's too focused on replacing old technology instead of learning from it. The pod's basic structure remained recognizable, but its internal systems had been completely reimagined. Traditional mechanical controls now sat alongside quantum interfaces, each system capable of operating independently or in harmony. Another engineering team reported power fluctuations in Section 5. Talira mentioned, helping Marcus secure a modified thruster assembly. The quantum diagnostics still show nothing wrong. They're looking for problems in the wrong place, Marcus explained, sliding under the pod to adjust the mechanical linkages. It's like trying to see a forest by studying individual leaves. Sometimes you need to step back and look at the whole picture. A small group of human crew members entered the cargo bay, carrying boxes of spare parts from their own departments. Word had spread quietly through the human sections of the station about Marcus' project. Maintenance sent these servo motors, one of them said, setting down his box. Medical had some spare power cells they're not using. Marcus emerged from under the pod, wiping grease from his hands. Thanks, everyone. This could make a real difference when... The bay doors suddenly slid open, revealing Chief Engineer Vexlor and two senior Zigzitol engineers. Their skin patterns displayed angry reds and dismissive purples as they surveyed the scene. So this is where station resources are being diverted. Vexlor's voice carried tones of both amusement and contempt. To build this mechanical monstrosity. The human crew members quickly departed as Vexlor approached the pod, studying its modified systems with obvious distaste. You've corrupted quantum technology with primitive mechanical components. This violates at least 15 safety protocols. The modifications are sound. Talira spoke up, their skin showing nervous but determined patterns. We've tested each system thoroughly. Vexlor turned to Talira, their skin flashing dangerous patterns. You've been assisting with this unauthorized project. The station's quantum grid is becoming increasingly unstable, Marcus interjected, drawing Vexlor's attention back to himself. When it fails, we'll need systems that can operate independently. If you continue spreading these alarming theories, Vexlor warned, you'll be restricted to your quarters when not performing assigned duties. They turned to leave, then added, and this project is hereby terminated. Dismantle it immediately. After the senior engineers departed, Talira's skin showed patterns of distress. Perhaps we should stop. If Vexlor reports this to station administration. Look at this, Marcus interrupted, pulling out his pattern chart. Power fluctuations have increased by 300% in the past week. We're running out of time. He turned to the pod, his expression determined. Help me finish it. Please. Even if we never need it, we have to try. Talira studied the chart, their skin cycling through various patterns before settling on resolute green. The next shift change gives us 6 hours without senior supervision. We can reroute power from maintenance systems to mask our work. They worked through the night, making final adjustments and running system checks. The pod gradually took shape, transforming into something neither fully Earth nor Zigzitol technology, but a unique hybrid of both. As they finished the final calibrations, another power fluctuation rippled through the station, longer and stronger than any before. Emergency lights flickered on briefly before the main power stabilized. How long? Talira asked, their skin showing worried patterns. Marcus studied his latest readings, his expression grave. Days. Maybe less. We need to complete the shielding before. A violent shudder ran through the station, and warning alarms began to sound. Warning klaxons echoed through the corridors as Marcus and Talira raced toward engineering control. The station's quantum displays flickered erratically, their usual pristine images distorting with each power surge. Primary quantum core showing signs of instability. The station's AI announced, its voice wavering between octaves. Automated correction systems responding. They burst into engineering control to find chaos. Digital engineers rushed between workstations, their skin patterns flashing urgent warnings in brilliant crimsons and deep violets. Chief Engineer Vexlor stood at the central console, issuing rapid commands to the quantum systems. Increase power to the stabilization fields. Vexlor ordered, their skin showing stress patterns never seen before. Redirect energy from non-essential systems. Marcus moved to a diagnostic panel, quickly connecting his manual sensors. The readings confirmed his worst fears. The quantum grid was caught in an exponential feedback loop. The automated corrections are making it worse, he called out, drawing angry glares from several engineers. Each adjustment is amplifying the instability. You will remain silent. Vexlor snapped, their skin flashing dangerous patterns. This situation requires proper engineering expertise, not primitive speculations. Another violent shudder ran through the station. The quantum displays went dark for 3 seconds before flickering back to life, now showing cascading errors across all systems. The quantum core is generating harmonic frequencies, Talira reported, their skin pulsing with urgent patterns. They're interfering with the stabilization fields. Marcus rushed to their console, studying the readings. It's exactly what I predicted. The quantum systems are trying to correct errors that their own corrections are causing. Impossible, Vexlor declared, but their skin showed the first traces of doubt. Our systems are perfect. They don't make mistakes. Perfect systems can fail perfectly, Marcus insisted, pulling out his pattern charts. Look at these readings from the past month. Every automated correction has increased the underlying instability. The station bucked again, harder this time. Warning lights bathed the control room in pulsing red as more systems began to fail. Quantum communication grid offline, the AI announced. Emergency protocols failing to engage. Backup systems not responding. Vexler's skin showed pure alarm now. How? All our emergency systems use quantum technology. They can't all fail simultaneously. They can if they're all perfect, Marcus said quietly, watching another cascade of failures ripple across the displays. Each system is trying to correct the others, creating a feedback loop that's growing exponentially. Engineering team to Cargo Bay 12. Talira suddenly announced, their skin showing determined patterns. Marcus has built something that might help. The hybrid pod. Vexlor's patterns showed disbelief. That collection of primitive machinery. A craft that can operate even when quantum systems fail, Marcus corrected, which is exactly what's happening now. Another violent tremor shook the station. Support beams groaned as structural integrity fields flickered and died. Multiple hull breaches detected, the AI warned. Automated repair systems offline. Station integrity at 60% and falling. Vexlor studied the failing systems around them, their skin cycling through patterns of concern, pride, and finally, resignation. Show me this pod of yours. They rushed to Cargo Bay 12, where Marcus's creation waited in the dim emergency lighting. Its hybrid systems hummed quietly, unaffected by the quantum chaos around them. It's designed to operate on mechanical principles, Marcus explained quickly, with quantum technology integrated but not controlling. It can function even if all quantum systems fail. Vexlor circled the pod, their skin showing complex patterns of analysis. This is why you've been collecting parts, preparing for this exact scenario. We have to evacuate the station, Talira urged, their skin pulsing with urgent patterns. The quantum core is approaching critical failure. As if to emphasize their point, another violent shudder ran through the station. The lights died completely this time, leaving them in darkness broken only by emergency chemical illumination strips. Station integrity at 40%. The AI's voice crackled through failing speakers. Quantum core containment failing. Estimated time to critical failure, 3 hours. Vexlor turned to Marcus, their skin showing clear patterns of emergency authority. What do you need to make this work? Emergency lighting cast long shadows across Cargo Bay 12 as Marcus directed the combined team of human and Zexetal engineers. Their skin patterns shifted between focused concentration and barely contained panic as they worked to adapt his hybrid systems. Power conduits are ready, Talira reported, their skin glowing with purpose in the dim light. We've modified the quantum interfaces to accept mechanical override controls. Marcus nodded, making final adjustments to the pod's manual control systems. The trick isn't making them work together. It's letting each system do what it does best. Another tremor rocked the station, stronger than the last. Support beams groaned under the strain as artificial gravity fluctuated wildly. Quantum core containment at 28%, the AI's increasingly distorted voice announced. Critical failure imminent. All personnel proceed to emergency evacuation points. The escape pods won't help, Vexlor observed, their skin showing patterns of grim realization. They all rely on quantum systems for navigation and life support. Marcus slid out from under the pod's control panel, wiping grime from his hands. This pod can handle it. The mechanical systems will keep working even under quantum interference. A violent shudder ran through the station. The lights died completely before emergency power restored minimal illumination. In the distance, they could hear the screech of tearing metal. Hull breach in Section 7, the AI warned. Emergency force fields failing. Station structural integrity critical. We're out of time, Marcus announced, powering up the pod's hybrid systems. The familiar hum of mechanical engines merged with the subtle vibration of quantum technology. Chief Engineer, I need authorization to proceed. Vexler's skin displayed complex patterns of calculation and decision. The quantum core chamber is heavily shielded. Even if you reach it, the radiation levels will be manageable with the pod's combined shielding. Talira interrupted, their skin pulsing with urgent patterns. We modified the quantum fields to work with the mechanical radiation plates. Another violent tremor shook the station. Warning klaxons blared as more systems failed. Multiple hull breaches detected. The AI's voice crackled. Emergency containment failing. Station decompression imminent in multiple sectors. Vexler's skin finally settled into patterns of emergency command. What's your plan? The quantum core is trying to maintain perfect stability. Marcus explained quickly. We need to introduce controlled imperfection. Mechanical systems that can absorb and redirect the energy instead of trying to correct it. Intentionally making systems less perfect. Vexler's skin showed incredulous patterns. That goes against every principle of quantum engineering. Sometimes the best solution isn't the perfect one. Marcus replied, running final system checks on the pod. It's the one that works. The pod's hybrid displays came to life, showing both mechanical gauges and quantum readouts. Marcus took the pilot's seat as Talira managed the engineering station. We'll guide you as far as we can, Vexler said, their skin showing determined patterns. But once you enter the core chamber, quantum communications will be impossible. Marcus sealed the pod's hatch, checking the environmental systems. If this works, the station's quantum grid should stabilize. If it doesn't, then we'll have proven that humanity's primitive technology fails just as spectacularly as our perfect systems. Vexler finished, their skin showing an unexpected pattern of humor. The cargo bay doors opened to the main corridor, now lit only by emergency strips. The pod lifted smoothly on its hybrid drive system, mechanical thrusters working in concert with quantum field generators. Course plotted to quantum core access, Talira reported, their skin glowing with focused patterns. We have 17 minutes before total core failure. Marcus guided the pod forward, feeling the familiar response of mechanical controls mixed with the subtle assistance of quantum systems. Around them, the station groaned and shuddered, decades of perfect technology falling into chaos. As they approached the core section, floating debris and failing gravity made navigation increasingly treacherous. The pod's hybrid systems compensated smoothly, adapting to each new challenge. Core chamber ahead, Talira announced, their skin showing both fear and determination. May the wisdom of both our peoples guide you. Marcus took a deep breath, guiding the pod toward the growing maelstrom of quantum energy ahead. Sometimes wisdom means knowing when to be imperfect. The pod crossed the final threshold, diving into the heart of the storm. Quantum energy swirled around the pod in violent patterns of light and darkness. The mechanical gauges bounced wildly, while quantum displays flickered between readings that should have been impossible. Approaching core containment breach, Marcus announced into his comm unit, though he doubted anyone could still hear him through the interference. Beginning stabilization sequence. The pod's hybrid engines hummed steadily as he navigated through the chaos. Where pure quantum systems would have failed trying to calculate perfect paths, the mechanical controls allowed him to feel his way through, responding to each disruption with human intuition supported by technology. Warning lights flashed across his console as another wave of quantum distortion washed over them. The pod shuddered but held together, its mechanical framework absorbing forces that would have torn quantum fields apart. Primary coolant systems failing. The station's AI voice crackled through breaking static, core temperature exceeding safety parameters. Marcus guided the pod closer to the quantum core, now visible as a writhing mass of energy behind failing containment fields. The viewing ports automatically darkened to protect his vision, but he could still see the impossible patterns of power running wild. A sudden surge knocked the pod sideways. Marcus corrected with practiced ease, letting muscle memory guide his hands across controls that no eye would have thought to include. Engineering, do you copy? He called out, knowing the chances of communication were diminishing. I'm starting the injection sequence. Only static answered, but he knew what he had to do. The pod's cargo hold contained specially modified mechanical regulators, simple devices designed to introduce controlled imperfections into the quantum field. The first regulator launched from the pod, its trajectory calculated by quantum computers, but guided by mechanical thrusters. It disappeared into the maelstrom of energy, and for a moment, nothing happened. Then a small area of chaos settled into a more natural pattern of flow. The quantum energy stopped trying to achieve perfect stability and found a sustainable balance instead. It's working, Marcus muttered to himself, preparing the second regulator. Sometimes you need to embrace the chaos. Another violent surge rocked the pod as he launched the second regulator. Emergency alerts flashed across his displays as multiple systems approached their limits. The hybrid shield generators whined under the strain, mechanical backup systems engaging automatically as quantum protections failed. The second regulator found its mark, creating another island of stability in the storm. Marcus checked his readings. The core temperature was still rising, but more slowly now. A familiar voice broke through the static, heavily distorted but recognizable. Marcus, Talira, quantum readings, stabilizing. Continue. He launched the third regulator, watching as it spiraled through the energy field. This time, the quantum core seemed to resist, waves of distortion battering the pod with increasing fury. Come on, Marcus whispered, his hands dancing across the controls as he fought to maintain position. Find your balance. The pod's mechanical frame creaked under forces it was never designed to withstand. A secondary display exploded in a shower of sparks, but the primary systems held firm, protected by layers of redundancy that pure quantum technology would have considered inefficient. The third regulator finally connected, and Marcus felt the change immediately. The violent energy waves began to smooth out, finding new patterns that embraced both order and chaos. Core temperature falling. The AI announced, its voice becoming clearer as quantum interference decreased. Containment field stability increasing. Marcus launched the final regulator, completing the pattern. The quantum core's energy shifted again, settling into a new rhythm that merged perfect calculation with natural flow. The storm of energy gradually calmed, transforming from violent chaos into something beautiful, a dance of quantum power guided by mechanical grace. Engineering control, do you copy? Marcus called out, watching as his displays returned to normal operation. The core is stabilizing. Repeat, the core is stabilizing. This time, multiple voices answered through clearing static. He heard Talira's relieved tones, mixed with Vexilor's more formal acknowledgement. The pod's engines hummed steadily as Marcus began his return journey, leaving behind a quantum core that had learned to embrace imperfection as part of its perfection. Around him, the station's systems gradually returned to life, forever changed by the marriage of two technologies that everyone had thought incompatible. The docking bay doors slid open smoothly as Marcus guided the pod back to its landing zone. A crowd of engineers, both human and zygzetal, waited with expressions and skin patterns showing mixed relief and curiosity. Talira rushed forward as the pod's hatch opened, their skin displaying brilliant patterns of success and excitement. The quantum core has achieved stable operation, but the energy patterns, they're unlike anything we've ever seen. Marcus climbed out, his maintenance uniform now bearing scorch marks and quantum energy residue. That's because it's not fighting itself anymore. The mechanical regulators are letting it find natural balance points instead of forcing perfect stability. Chief Engineer Vexilor approached, their skin showing complex patterns of professional evaluation mixed with newfound respect. Our quantum diagnostics are reporting impossible results. The core efficiency has increased by 37%, yet it's operating at lower energy states than our calculations predicted possible. Sometimes less perfect is more efficient, Marcus explained, pulling up the pod's recorded data. Look at these readings. The mechanical regulators aren't just controlling the quantum field, they're working with it, creating a new kind of harmony. The engineering team gathered around the pod's hybrid displays, watching as waves of quantum energy flowed through patterns that merged mathematical precision with natural rhythm. Where the core had once fought to maintain rigid perfection, it now pulsed with a steady beat that reminded Marcus of a heartbeat. The station's systems are adapting to the new configuration, Talira reported, monitoring multiple displays. Power flow has stabilized across all sectors. We're seeing improved performance in everything from life support to artificial gravity. A junior zygzetal engineer raised their hand, their skin showing patterns of confused curiosity. But how can imperfect mechanical systems improve quantum efficiency? It defies all theoretical models. Theory isn't everything, Marcus said, opening an access panel to show the hybrid systems. Look here, the mechanical regulators don't try to control the quantum field. They give it room to move, to find its own balance, like swimming with a current instead of fighting it. Vexilor's skin rippled with thoughtful patterns as they studied the design. You've created more than just a temporary solution. This is an entirely new approach to quantum engineering. We created it, Marcus corrected, nodding to Talira and the other engineers who had helped. Human mechanical knowledge and zygzetal quantum expertise working together. Neither perfect nor imperfect, just right for the job. The station's AI spoke up, its voice now crystal clear through restored systems. Station diagnostic complete. All systems operating at optimal efficiency. New baseline parameters established. Engineers dispersed to their stations, monitoring the cascade of positive changes spreading through the station's infrastructure. Decades of purely quantum technology were being transformed by the introduction of mechanical elements, creating systems more robust and efficient than either technology alone. The Galactic Engineering Council will want to study this, Vexilor noted, their skin showing official patterns. It could revolutionize station design throughout the galaxy. Talira's skin flickered with sudden inspiration. Not just stations. Think of the applications for starships, planetary infrastructure, even quantum computing itself. Marcus smiled, watching the continued flow of promising data across the displays. As long as we remember the lesson. Sometimes the best solution comes from embracing different approaches instead of insisting on perfection. A maintenance alert sounded, drawing amused patterns from the zygzetal engineers. The station's waste recycling system, Marcus's original assignment, needed attention. I should probably handle that, Marcus said, reaching for his toolkit. Actually, Vexlor's skin showed formal patterns of authority. I'm reassigning you to the advanced development team. Starting immediately. They paused, adding with subtle humor patterns, unless you prefer waste management. I go where I'm needed, Marcus replied diplomatically. But I wouldn't mind having access to better tools. Tool preferences noted. Vexlor confirmed, their skin showing approval. Report to Laboratory 7 tomorrow. We have much work to do. As the engineering team dispersed, Marcus and Talira remained by the pod, watching a harmonious dance of quantum and mechanical energy on the displays. It's beautiful, Talira observed, their skin showing patterns of wonder, like watching two different songs become one perfect melody. Marcus nodded, thinking of all the possibilities ahead. The best engineering is always part science, part art. Now we get to explore both together. 3 months after the quantum core incident, Marcus stood before the Galactic Engineering Council chamber, his Earth Engineering Corps uniform now bearing the additional insignia of Advanced Development Specialist. The chamber's quantum displays showed schematics of the hybrid systems that had transformed Galactic Station Alpha 9. The integration of mechanical regulators with quantum field generators has exceeded all expectations, Marcus explained, gesturing to the performance graphs. Station efficiency has improved by 42%, with a 67% reduction in system failures. Talira stepped forward, their skin showing professional presentation patterns. We've successfully replicated these results across 3 additional stations. The hybrid approach proves consistently more stable than pure quantum systems. The council chamber buzzed with discussion, hundreds of engineers from dozens of species debating the implications. A senior council member, their crystalline form catching the light, raised a hand for silence. Chief Engineer Vexlor, they addressed the station's commander. Your station was known for maintaining the highest quantum engineering standards. Yet you support this radical departure from established principles. Vexlor's skin displayed confident patterns as they responded. I support results. The hybrid systems have proven themselves beyond any doubt. More importantly, they've taught us that our pursuit of perfection was limiting our potential. Marcus advanced the display to show the new engineering training program. Students from Earth worked alongside Zexetal apprentices, each learning from the other's approach. We're not just combining technologies, Marcus continued. We're combining perspectives. Every student learns both quantum theory and practical mechanics. They understand when to seek perfect precision and when to allow natural variation. The display shifted to footage from the new hybrid shipyards. Vessels under construction showed elegant combinations of quantum and mechanical systems, their designs flowing seamlessly between both technologies. The first hybrid drive exploration vessel launches next month. Talira reported, their skin showing proud patterns. Its range and reliability exceed anything we could achieve with either technology alone. A council member raised an objection, their form shifting with concern. But the mechanical components require maintenance. They wear out. They're imperfect. Yes, Marcus acknowledged, they need maintenance, but they can be maintained by crews with basic training, using simple tools. When quantum systems fail, they often fail completely. Our hybrid systems degrade gracefully, giving crews time to respond. The chamber's displays showed simulation after simulation, demonstrating how hybrid systems outperformed pure quantum technology in crisis situations. The evidence was undeniable. We've scheduled knowledge-sharing conferences across 12 sectors, Talira added, their skin showing organized patterns. Earth's engineering schools are already adapting their programs to include quantum theory, while Zexetal institutions are incorporating mechanical principles. Vexlor stepped forward, their skin displaying formal announcement patterns. In recognition of these achievements, the Station Alpha 9 Engineering Corps proposes establishing the first Joint Technology Institute, a place where all species can learn to combine their unique approaches to technology. The council chamber erupted in discussion again, but Marcus could see the approval in their reactions. The future was changing, one hybrid system at a time. After the presentation, Marcus found himself back in Cargo Bay 12, standing beside the pod that had started it all. Its hybrid systems hummed quietly, now serving as a teaching tool for new engineers. Thinking about that day, Talira asked, approaching with their skin showing friendly patterns. Thinking about how far we've come, Marcus replied, running his hand along the pod's hull. And how far we still have to go. The next class of hybrid engineers starts training next week, Talira reminded him, their skin showing educator patterns. 20 humans, 15 Zigzetal, and representatives from 7 other species. Marcus smiled, checking the teaching materials on his tablet. Perfect and imperfect, all learning to work together. Who would have thought a maintenance engineer's crazy idea would lead to this? I did, came Vexler's voice as they entered the bay. Their skin showed complex patterns of pride and amusement. Eventually, though perhaps not soon enough. They all looked up as a ship passed the station's viewing ports, one of the new hybrid vessels, its design a beautiful merger of Earth and Zigzetal engineering. Perfect quantum precision guided by human intuition, each making the other stronger. Ready for tomorrow's advanced systems lecture? Talira asked, their skin showing eager patterns. Marcus nodded, thinking of all the future engineers who would build on what they'd started. Always ready. After all, we're just getting started. The station hummed around them, quantum and mechanical systems working in harmony, a testament to what could be achieved when different worlds came together to build something new.